What is up, guys? Taiki here, and welcome to part 9 of the CANTO thesis, where every single week I say the same thing over and over again about why I think CANTO is going to go up. Currently, the price of CANTO sits at 29.8 cents. When I first laid it, I was at 30.9, and literally I have people accusing me of being an AI. Where is it? Yeah. Is Taiki's CANTO video series AI generated, or is he really recording the same thing again and again? I am proud to announce that I am not an AI. I am making the same videos again. Like, look at this, right? It's like 13 cents, 23 cents, 23 cents, 22 cents, 26 cents, 25 cents, 23, 27. CANTO is below 30 cents for the last 9 weeks. And I keep saying the same thing over and over again. We'll see if it gets there. I mean, the chart doesn't look bad, but we'll see. And the culmination of the CANTO thesis has different levels. I do want to first touch on Blast. I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and it is pretty interesting because you can argue that this is a potential competitor to CANTO. But I'll talk about my thoughts on the issue here. But Blast is an L2 backed by Paradigm and everyone's favorite crypto Twitter influencers. We got Hasu, Ru King, Fubar, Santiago Roel, the Block Guy, Hosaka, CL, DJ Spartan, Loomdart, all these, everyone's favorite crypto Twitter influencers. They just, put money in this, and they're going to dump on us, right? And that's kind of the vibe I get whenever people talk about this particular project. And I thought about this, and when I first looked at this, I was kind of not really upset, but I was kind of tired of this point system, airdrop farming, the devs farming the farmers. But after further consideration, I'm actually pretty bullish. And it's kind of a culmination of what I've been saying all along. And going through the thread here, first of all, this is really annoying, but by the way, just because I'm bullish Blast does not mean that I'm a seed investor, okay? I'm proud to be one of the only content creators in the space to literally never run YouTube ads. I run $0. I've made $0 from YouTube running ads. No sponsorship deals, right? No ref link, no centralized exchange ref links, no paid shills or any private investing, okay? I do research on the liquid markets, and therefore I only participate in the liquid markets. So any accusation that people are throwing around that I'm a paid shill is incorrect. I only participate in the liquid markets, and I value that ethos above anything else. But that doesn't mean that I'm not bullish Blast. And don't worry, I'll talk about CANTO later, but I do think this part is important. So Blast markets itself as the layer 2 with native yield. So all the Ether, all the stablecoins that's going to be bridged to Blast is going to be staked with Lido and Maker. And I think this is a market inefficiency that I think had to be solved. For example, Arbitrum, there's $2.5 billion worth of Ether in the bridge contract that's not being staked. If all of this was staked in Lido, just, earning 4%, then Arbitrum can literally be making $100 million in ETH per year. Why are they doing this? Well, I'm sure there are many reasons, but the same applies for stablecoins. All the stablecoins that's sitting in bridges, it's not paying a yield. But Circle, Tether, right? They literally take the backing by T-bills, and they keep all the profits. And Blast is saying, well, why don't we just stake everything with Lido, stake everything with Maker, and then distribute those profits to the users? And I think this makes sense. And I think from a user's perspective, I think this also creates a lot of value. One example of things that could happen is we can see with Agave Finance. I've never used this application, but it's on the Gnosis chain. It's an Aave fork. And what's happening here is that all the DAI that's being used to bridge to Gnosis chain is being staked in the DSR. And of course, the DSR is the DAI savings rate. And if you have money in the DSR, you're earning 5%. Cool. And where does the yield come from? Well, Maker owns roughly $3 billion worth of T-bills. It's earning 5%, and they're distributing the yield back to on-chain participants. So that's how it works. And all the bridge, right? All the DAI in the bridge is being staked. But the only way for users to receive the yield is if you staked the DAI on Gnosis chain in this contract. And not all DAI is being staked because other DAI is in liquidity pools, other DeFi applications. So what could happen, right, is let's say $100 million of stablecoins are bridged to Blast Layer 2, and only $50 million gets staked into whatever contract that they make. Well, if $100 million is earning 5% and only $50 million is being staked for yield, then users can receive 10% yield in dollars from tokenized treasuries without any Ponzi-nomic elements, right? No additional tokens being inflated, no leverage being introduced, right? Real yield. And it's enabled because, yeah, like through this infrastructure that they're building. Also, maybe they don't do this, right? Like maybe every stablecoin just pays 5%, for example. Well, like that's also fine because sure, like maybe 10% is not possible, like without leverage and whatnot. But you can also create better products like why are people LPing for ETH in USDC? They can be LPing for staked ETH and staked DAI. And this is a much better product than this on like mainnet on Uniswap because first of all, fees are cheaper, and then the assets underlying your LP is also earning yield. So I've mentioned that this is really bullish Maker and Lido. You can check this contract here. There's roughly, let me refresh this. Bam. Okay. 230, that's a lot. Okay, $230 million or $200 million stay with Lido, right? So they gain market share, and $30 million goes into DAI, which also is good for market share. Or the market has to at least price in the future growth of DAI, because like that's what's gonna happen. And if you go back to my channel, I've said a lot of ridiculous things in the past. In fact, I say more ridiculous things than non-ridiculous things. But the one thing I'm proud is, I talked about, where is this? So I talked about the end of the DeFi bear market and the beginning of the DeFi bull market. And at the time, I got a lot of flack because at the time, prices were down, right? If you go to, I guess, prices for, I don't know, Lido, for example, right? July, it was down only, right? And people just gave me shit. But the idea was that, well, these yield-bearing dollars, these tokenized treasuries are bullish because there's cash flow coming from outside crypto and all the liquidity is being injected into crypto, right? T-bill yield go directly to the hands of DAI holders because you can stake it for the DSR, and also the protocol is buying back its own token, right, the MKR token. So there's going to be plunge protection for Maker the asset. And sure, traders can sell Maker, right? You make money on Maker, you sell Maker, and then you buy something else. That's totally fine. But this is a positive sum game because the valuation of Maker is being supported by government interest payments, these buybacks, and therefore Maker, I think, is a bullish asset. And I've been saying this since July. And I mean, like the point is, right? Like, tokenized treasuries, it's going to lead to the end of the DeFi bear market and lead to the beginning of the DeFi bull market. And is it really a coincidence that when I declared the end of the DeFi bear market and the beginning of the bull, that was literally when stablecoin market cap stopped bleeding, right? I think that's pretty telling, if I were to be completely honest. And there's no way for me to prove it, but I think like rationally it makes sense. Stablecoins were leaving the ecosystem because they couldn't earn a yield. Now that people can earn a yield, like why not stay? That's literally the idea. And like any projects that build on top of RWAs, I think is pretty bullish, and that's why I'm bullish. Not gonna lie, like I only bridged like 0.18, and I've used all my ref links, so I can't even refer you guys. So that's even more proof that I'm not really in this for like the money, or I'm not really in this for like shilling these ref links. Just find your ref links elsewhere, okay? Like just do your own thing. But like the entire CANTO thesis, right? So back to CANTO. So I mentioned back in September that like CANTO is pivoting from some general alt L1 with like no story to an RWA L2. And where's the link here? Sorry, let me pull up this link. Okay. And okay, there you go. I found it. Here we go. So CANTO is not only gonna support tokenized treasuries. So for example, you go here, The yield for this stablecoin note is 4.6%. Cool. And it's also going to facilitate other types of RWAs through other lending markets like Vivacity Finance. So all these RWA issuers like Fortunify, High Yield, Hashnote, Anzen, and others, they're launching on CANTO before any other blockchains because CANTO is providing the RWA infrastructure. And if you are bullish RWAs, then you should expect more TVL to flow to CANTO in the coming months and years. And because CANTO is an L1/L2, more TVL should be good for the price of CANTO, and especially for RWAs because, there's a lot of like nuance here, but like how does Maker make money, right? Like they literally buy T-bills. Not all the DAI gets staked. So, if only 30% of DAI is being staked, but the backing is in T-bills, then, they get to keep all the profits and the profits go into buybacks. And similarly, if TVL goes up for CANTO, then, there's going to be some market inefficiencies where not everyone stakes their stablecoin, and, the difference, right? Like whatever stablecoins that's not being utilized, like those revenues are going to go back to CANTO, and 20% of transaction fees gets burned. So at some point, maybe it becomes more deflationary. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, to be honest. But that could be one. Also, the distribution of CANTO is much more fair than the other L1/L2s. Even Blast, right? Like when I posted this, I got a bunch of hate. But because people literally think that like if some influencer talks positively about a VC-backed project, they're being paid for. And not gonna lie, like most of the times they are being paid. Okay, they're like literally being paid, or they're getting free tokens. And that happens in Twitter. Sorry, that happens in crypto all the time. And that's why I'm trying to do things more ethically, or I say try, right? I could be wrong, right? I can say all this bullshit. I could be right, I could be wrong, but at least that I'm not taking any free money. Okay, like I'm like the only way I make money is if I'm right, if I'm right on the markets and I make money, or if people like my research and they pay for my research basically. But going back to CANTO, so this is the premium Discord. So Mr. Chazzy here. He was on a call with Hashnote CEO. He mentioned that right now the USYC TVL, so this is the token of treasury, is 70 million across ETH and CANTO, 50-20 million split. But on this, it's only showing 7 million, so the TVL is being slightly underreported. So it's being underreported by 13 million. So it's like actually 77 million. That's not really that big. I mean, like that's not really that great, right? I mean, it's like I need to see this at like 200 million, right? That's when I get excited. But he said that they have some pipelines of deals, should be 150 by Q1, 200 million by end of March, but they're expanding across other L2s, so there might be some dilution. So cool, right? More TVLs happening that way. Let's see. Yeah, and then the final. So the reason I talked about Blast is like, is that even like, isn't that concerning? Like CANTO. I mean, it kind of touches like the same narrative, right? It might commoditize like the yield-bearing dollar thesis, but like I mentioned, I think this Blast significantly benefits Maker, and I'm everyone knows I'm a Maker bull, right? I own big bags of Maker. I hope this goes up, right? Why? Well, buybacks and whatnot. But anyways, if more attention shifts towards Maker, if Blast is what leads to people saying, wow, like, L2, like RWA L2s make sense. Then that could also create some bid for CANTO because, well, at least they're launching first, right? They already have a product out. It's not a great product yet, but they will have a product out, hopefully. I don't work at a team. I'm not being paid. I have no idea. And also the bull case is that I think RWAs are going to be a top 2, top 3, maybe even like the top category when it comes to DeFi. If you're a DeFi bull, you want DeFi TVL to hit all-time highs and eventually $1 trillion in TVL. How's that going to happen? Is it going to come from meme coins pumping? Sure, it could, right? But I think it's more likely that DeFi gets to $1 trillion TVL by stablecoin market cap going to like hundreds and trillions of TVL. Okay, and I think the only way that happens, the only way for stablecoins to enter the system in that size is if institutions adopt stablecoins. Going back here, right? Even Mr. Larry Fink, right? Everyone's favorite daddy, Larry Fink. Um, he thinks that tokenization of securities is going to be the next generation of markets. And it's funny, like I actually think that RWAs is going to look like a Cantor function. I've never heard this before, but like this account informed me on it. But sure, like sometimes stablecoin growth is not going to go up only, or like the RWA TVL is not going to go up only, but it's not going to go down, right? I think it's just going to keep going up and up and up, and I think Maker is a good bet on that because they're the leader in YBDs, yield-bearing dollars, and I think if you want to go further out the risk curve, I think Canto is more interesting, and that's why I like Maker and Canto as my RWA basket, and we'll see if it goes. Okay, like we'll see if I'm right or wrong. I have no idea. Okay, and I mentioned that the good thing with RWAs is that there's no competition. It's much more positive sum than other sectors because TVL going up for Maker isn't going to lower APRs on Frax, for example. But like for liquid staking derivatives, if more Ether gets staked with Lido, it decreases the staking rate for everybody. But with RWAs, it's not going to happen because the yield comes from like government T-bills and whatnot, right? Like the risk-free rate. These rates can go down, but it's not dilutive is the argument. Yeah, so Canto bull case becomes the hub for other types of RWAs. A lot of the blast backers are also Canto holders, so there might be a alignment there. But yeah, that's kind of where that's kind of it. I like Maker, I like Canto. I also own some Ether. I bridged my ETH, all 0.1 of it, or here, right? All 0.1 of it into Blast. I actually think this is a pretty good airdrop farm. I'm not gonna lie. I'll talk about it more I'll talk about it more on Monday for farms of the week, because it's very controversial, right? It does kind of suck that where is it? It does kind of suck that like I'm out here trying to grind the liquid markets, and then all these VCs and influencers, they just blow their load on like private deals, right? It makes my job much harder. It makes your job much harder because we don't have the luxury, or we don't have the privilege. Technically I do have the privilege, but I just like choose not to do it because I think it's the right thing to do. But Blast raised a bunch of money, sorry, there's a construction going on outside, so sorry if that's kind of loud. But there's also Superstate. They raised $14 million. They raised $14 million. They're basically trying to do the same thing as like Maker and Canto. So it seems like all this money is just like flowing into like these private deals, and like no one is priving the public markets. I think it's one of the problems that crypto has, right? It's definitely one of the problems crypto has, that hopefully gets resolved over time. And in fact, like I'd be happy if people that invest in Blast L2 like lose money. I think that'd be a good thing. Unfortunately, I think that's not going to happen. I think all these people are going to make money because I think the idea makes sense. Embedding native yield on L2 like that. That should happen, right? That's so obvious. But Blast doesn't really have a moat outside of just like having like the hype men and some money. So if Arbitrum and Optimism also adopt RWAs, then what are they going to adopt? They're probably going to adopt Maker and DAI and like Lido too, right? So like this, you can also argue that like this is bullish Lido. I think it's pretty good actually. I think it's a good idea. I think it has to happen. But is this bearish my bags? No, nothing is bearish my bags, right? My bags are up only. My bags are pristine collateral. There is no second best, right? Michael Saylor would approve. Okay, he would not approve. But I do love this narrative because with the yield-bearing dollars, like we're basically vampire attacking USDC market cap, right? Like just vampire attack, right? Just send this lower, right? Like more money should, like crypto participants should demand more, right? Like USDC pays you nothing. They keep all the profits. Like it goes to Brian Armstrong. No, like give it to the degens, give it to the people, right? Just give it to the people. Like that's what we want. What else? Sorry, I have lots of tabs open. If you want to, I'm going to interview Kat. So if you want to ask questions, I'll provide a link in the description below. Feel free to do so. He's also, he's a funny guy. If unlike last week, I mentioned that $14 million got sent on chain to resume maker buybacks. If this doesn't lead to a maker bottom, I'm going to go bald. Let's see what happened. Wait, am I not allowed to? What is this? Wait, I thought I can. What is this? Hold up. Damn it, this was supposed to be smooth. This is... Okay. I thought I can copy and paste my tweet on here, but I guess I can't. That's embarrassing. Okay, so November 17th. All right, November 17th. All right, November 17th. Kabam! Bottom. Right? When Taiki threatens to go bald, it's the bottom, right? The bottom. All right. 21 minutes in, I think that's good enough. I think I've talked enough about everything. Bullish maker, bullish CANTO. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you guys think of the content. Like and subscribe, whatever, all that. You can dislike the video if you want to. See you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a happy New Year. Actually, that's Christmas.